Hello and welcome to LMTV Spotlight. I'm Tom Walsh, Public Information Officer for the Township. This month we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be sharing the spotlight this month with a face that's familiar to a lot of you who are LMTV viewers, Ms. Brenda Viola, my predecessor here as the PIO. We'll be talking to you about the Mainline Run and the Hometown Heroes program, a couple of programs that are beneficial to our local volunteer firefighters. So without further ado, please take it away, Brenda.
Thank you, Tom. For 10 years, I had the privilege of serving the Township of Lower Merion as its Public Information Officer. The face may look familiar if you're a longtime viewer of LMTV. Over that decade, I developed deep and lasting attachments to this community, and in particular, was drawn to the cause of our local volunteer firefighters and EMTs. Though I haven't been a Township employee for about 2 years now, my successor, Tom Walsh, was kind enough to invite me back to host this program, which will tell you about an initiative that has kept me connected to not only Lower Merion's fire companies, but the 17 that serve the entire Mainline area. And even better, how you can support them. To help me tell this story is the President and CEO of the Mainline Chamber of Commerce, who is also the President of the Mainline Chamber Foundation, Bernie Dagenet. Bernie, it's so great to see you today.
Brenda, it's great to be with you.
We have a lot to talk about, and I first want to start with where we are now before we go into some background. What has the Mainline Chamber Foundation accomplished recently to show support for the volunteer firefighters and the EMTs that serve our area?
Sure. So my history is very much in recent years in the Mainline Chamber Foundation, and we've had a great trend in that we started by giving, I think, about $17,000 in scholarships the first year I was involved. We've more than doubled that now. We've increased that. We were at $30,000 and then $38,000, and we're looking at repeating that amount of donation again this year in scholarships. A lot of people don't realize that these firefighters, these emergency medical technicians are volunteers in the community. And you might have heard these stories recently. I've heard them on the radio about different fire companies trying to recruit volunteers, and it's hard to find people to do it sometimes. And this is a way that we can reward those individuals who show up at a time of need. And they're there to take care of you, take care of your medical needs, put out the fire. A lot of people don't know these folks are volunteers.
Oh, and we're going to go into how that story all began because it's so true. And I think the key word, and I want to highlight it throughout this program, volunteer. Volunteer. These are volunteers. They have full-time jobs. They have homes and families. And yet still at 2 o'clock in the morning, if the fire bell rings, they're there to serve. But I want to talk a little bit because people might be confused with their terms. You're maybe familiar with the Mainline Chamber Foundation. No. You're familiar with the Chamber of Commerce. But are you familiar with the foundation? What's the distinction between the two?
So the Mainline Chamber of Commerce was founded as the Ardmore Chamber of Commerce in 1921. The foundation is a much newer organization. It was created in 2001. It has a different tax status. It's called a 501c3 tax status. And that means when you give a donation to the foundation, it's fully tax deductible as a charitable expense. So really the foundation is the charitable arm of the Mainline Chamber of Commerce. It helps support some of the work we do. It provides people with a way to donate where they can get behind causes. It was formed primarily for educational purposes, and scholarships have really been what it's all about ever since its beginning in 2001.
Yeah, and it has just grown exponentially. And we want to talk about how people can help, but still going back a little further, because I got to tell you, Bernie, how long have you been with the Mainline Chamber of Commerce?
About 3.5 years now.
3.5 years, and in that 3.5 years, you need sunglasses because the future is so bright at the Chamber. There have been some great things happening. A lot of people have heard about SPW, the Society of Professional Women, the best networking that you can have, whether you're male or female in the area. You do some great programs. And one that's near and dear to my heart is Leadership Mainline. What is Leadership Mainline?
Yes, so Leadership Mainline is now in its 11th year. It's a 6-month program where we have 23 people are currently going through in the current class. And for the first 6 months of every year, they get to, we think about 3 words with the program: leadership, legacy, and connection. And leadership is teaching people about leadership, being effective in their communities, making a difference within their companies. The legacy part is thinking about what's going to happen after you're gone. You know, what are you leaving behind? What work are you doing now that will have a lasting impact? And every class, in fact, takes on a project together that is meant to outlive the class. They do something that is supposed to continue on after them, so that's very exciting. And then the connection part is not just connection with the community, although it's a big part of it. We have some great days. We get to see some of the great community assets like Valley Forge Military Academy. We spent a day at Lower Merion Township building. We learned about government, the Marion Cricket Club. We get a day in Philadelphia looking at cultural assets. So it's connection with the community, but also connection with nonprofits in the community. Nonprofits are a big component of the program because part of it is we're teaching leadership through the lens of nonprofit board service. Then it's also connection with your classmates. So this year, 23 people. If you're lucky enough to be one of those folks, you have 22 other people you're building relationships with. And those are powerful, lasting relationships.
They really are. And I can tell you, as a proud member of the class of, was it 2004? Yeah, yes. 10 years. 10 years ago, yes. I did Leadership Mainline. And the people in that class, I learned in the class itself, all the field trips we took, all the amazing speakers we had, but rubbing shoulders with my peers throughout all different types of industry and professions and organizations along the main line. It was really a life-changing experience for me. And I want to tell you about our project that we had back in 2004, but what are some of the other projects that Leadership Mainline classes have come up with?
Sure, so in recent years, one of them was they looked at a free healthcare provider, the clinic in Phoenixville, and they helped them with their marketing, their positioning, and how their logo looked, so that was a great project. They helped, a class helped the Devereaux Foundation, which had some shops that they have a flower shop there and an auto repair shop and a bike shop, probably some other things going on in Berwyn, in a complex there. And it needed to be marketed differently, so it was a whole plan that is rolled out. Actually, there was a story in the Philadelphia Inquirer a couple months ago about how that operation has evolved. And Leadership Mainline was very essential in coming up with a strategy that was carried out over a number of years. And then another Lower Merion Township related project was, I believe it was called the LifeLock Project. So this was a way. Lock for Life.
So cool. So that when someone is perhaps stuck in their home, maybe they're elderly or they have other issues, and a police officer or an EMT doesn't have to break down the door or the window to get involved and save that person. Right. They have access to a key, and it's all done through the police department to gain access. Lock for Life. I forgot about that program. That is awesome.
So it's going on today, and actually another police department has taken it up since Lower Merion started it. So.
Yeah, and it actually won an award too. So
yes.
Here's the picture. Leadership Mainline. You've got about 20 professionals in the room, and you're striving to come up with a project that'll live on after the class is over. And I remember back in 2004 sitting in that room, a little bit nervous because, these are some real movers and shakers. And there were some ideas, but I had been involved with the Township of Lower Merion as the PIO. And I would hear former Chief Harry Knorr talk about how if we do not recruit and retain volunteer firefighters, that it will disrupt the very fabric of our communities, and it would cost taxpayers about 30% more in their property taxes to go from a volunteer force to a fully paid fire service. And that one of the keys to recruitment and retention is appreciation. Mm-hmm. We then as a class all got behind it, and thanks for giving me the leeway to tell my story here, but we found that many people in the community weren't even aware that their firefighters were volunteers. They thought that they were paid. They thought that their taxpayer dollars fully funded the fire service, so why donate? But that's not true. Even though the townships are very generous to the fire companies, it doesn't fully cover the costs. And we learned that it's generational. A lot of these fire companies, it's a great-grandfather and a father and their son, and it goes on. But the legacies, if we don't show appreciation and really nurture these young firefighters, it's going to go away. So it was sort of like a red flag, and we wanted to create awareness. And so our firefighter campaign started, and we did a poster to raise awareness. Kids loved the poster. Kids love firefighters. How many little boys and little girls even say, I want to grow up and be a firefighter? So we did this poster, and we had the firefighters sign it, sort of like they were celebrities. We did a big celebration and a rally for our firefighters. We did some videos, and then we graduated. And we didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but we knew that there was this need, and a pressing need for the community to rally around our volunteer fire companies. And then the foundation said, we'll take it on. That has made all the difference in the world, because having the Chamber and the Chamber Foundation behind this cause has kept it in the forefront of the community, and I couldn't be more excited about it. So the foundation, when did it decide to really focus on the firefighters and EMTs?
And I have to say, before I answer that question, is you mentioned the word volunteer being an important theme, and I think that that's essential that we talk about. Not only are we honoring volunteers here who are emergency responders, but the people who are running this are volunteers as well. The Chamber really devotes very minimal resources to the foundation. It's its own entity. So they're really the volunteers that run it. And you have been a great volunteer and a real star of this effort. So I want to thank you on behalf of the community, on behalf of the Mainline Chamber Foundation, for your leadership. When it comes to where the idea came, it's for us as an organization, any organization I've ever been involved with, you ask yourself, is this where we ought to be? Are we spending our time and effort? Is it resonating with people? And I tell you, the Volunteer Firefighters, the EMT Scholarship Program, among all the things we do as a chamber, you referenced a few of them before, this really resonates with a lot of individuals and people in communities. They realize that we're doing important work, and we hear from parents, and we meet these people who are receiving the awards, and they are so appreciative of it, and the letters that they write us. And so we know that we're doing important work, and that's become over years. So in the few years that I've been involved, we've sharpened our focus in that direction. And that's been an easy decision because it matters to people. And it's worth our time. It's worth our time as volunteers to meet at 7:30 in the morning in order to talk about how we're going to do this, to have run committee meetings in the afternoon after work to talk about how the run, and I'm sure we'll talk about that as we go on, how the run's going to progress this year. So it's a inspiring cause. It's inspiring to the community. It's inspiring to us. That's why we're doing it.
It's right. And we want to tell you, before we head into a break, that you can see firsthand what we're talking about. On June 5th, right here in the Lower Merion Township Administration Building, in the Eileen Trainer Boardroom, we're going to have a celebration of hometown heroes. And we're going to give out check after check after check to young volunteer firefighters starting at 6:30 p.m. right here in the Township of Lower Merion. And it's all the funds raised through the foundation and going to say thank you to those young men and women and support them and nurture them as they pursue their continuing education and continue to volunteer. We're going to talk more about that when we come right back. Thank you so much for being with us, and stay tuned. We've got lots more to talk about. Welcome back to LMTV Spotlight. I'm a familiar face if you've watched LMTV for a while. Brenda Viola, the former Public Information Officer. Tom Walsh was nice enough to give me the seat today. And I am with Bernie Dagenet, the President and CEO of the Mainline Chamber of Commerce and the President of the Mainline Chamber Foundation. And if you came back after the break, you know we had talked about a big event on June 5th, which is the celebration of hometown heroes. I love this event because we have sometimes 20, even close to 30 young men and women, volunteer firefighters, receiving scholarship checks from the Mainline Chamber Foundation. It's going to happen June 5th, 6:30, right here in the Lower Merion Township Boardroom. And I'm just so excited about it. If you're even thinking of getting involved or donating to help the foundation, I strongly encourage you to come out. It would be nice to see some familiar faces and old friends from Lower Merion. Come out to that event and you can see firsthand exactly where the dollars that you donate are going to. So by mentioning that, you know that we do receive donations from kind and generous people in the Mainline area. How are the bulk of the funds raised, though? Because we're giving out close to $40,000 in scholarships on June 5th. Yes. Where does it come from?
So the main fundraiser is the annual Mainline Run. And the Mainline Run has been going on, I think this is going to be the 17th year. It occurs in Wayne. It's a great run. We obviously give the tech t-shirts, but the cause is really one of the amazing things. And we're looking to have 500 or so people together that morning. We have strong, it really is, one of the things that's great about it is that it brings together the business community and residents, people who live in the community, because altogether they want to support these volunteer firefighters and emergency medical technicians. And so it's a great event. Sponsors step up. and runners come out, and that's what we need to have happen on the morning of September 14th. Very excited about the run this year. That's the main source of funds. We also get a great donation in recent years that's come from the Wells Fargo Foundation, which has really stepped up repeatedly. The Wells Fargo Foundation supports a number of different initiatives through the community, and they've decided this is important enough, so I think we're 4 years running now with a major donation from that foundation. So that's just a
so
check.
grateful.
We appreciate the check.
Oh, yeah.
And the run gets all the other money, really.
And it's known now as the Giant Mainline Run.
That's right. We have sponsors who support it. Giant is the biggest sponsor supporting it. Mainline, Jaguar, Land Rover is a supporter. Nolan Painting is this big supporter. Suburban Square has supported it in the past, certainly. And the Chamber's health insurance provider, USI Affinity, has been supporting it for years as well. So all together, they help to make this run a success. They write the checks, and then the runners come out. We have an expo. People set up tables. Our sponsors have tables there. It's a fun atmosphere. It's a great opportunity. We're going to bring the walk back this year as well, too.
Oh, yay. Yay for the non-runners in the group. And it's really such a lovely path, too, that you get to walk through the neighborhoods of Wayne.
It is. It is.
Not too challenging. It's challenging if you're a serious runner and you really want to do a great 5K. Perfect race. But if you're more like me and you want to just take a nice stroll on a Sunday morning, you can do that as well.
You know, the other aspects, fire trucks are at the corners, and you see that there's that component of public safety. The fire folks are there. And then in addition, people line the streets and cheer you on. People come out of their houses, and we really appreciate that kind of support.
So if you are a runner, please go to www.runtheday.com. What's going to happen is you'll type in Mainline Run. It'll take you right to the link so that you can sign up for the race. We would love to see teams of people from different companies or different special interest groups, the Rotaries, Kiwanis, whoever you are, sign up to be a part of the run. It is Sunday morning, September 14th, starts at 9 a.m. We're giving everybody a little half-hour extra sleep so that they can make it to the run on September 14th. It's only $25 per entry, isn't it?
That's right. That's right.
And you get this awesome tech shirt. There are some people that have collected, I think this is the 17th year of the run, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
So they have like 17 tech shirts, and they're so cool. My husband loves them, actually. They're those,
they're breathable shirts.
Moisture-wicking.
Moisture-wicking shirts, yeah. They're great for runs, but they're also great for around the house. And yeah, people have the collection.
So it's runtheday.com. Go and visit. Oh, we would just love, wouldn't it be great? And some people might say, well, the race isn't until September. Why are you talking about it now? Why? Because we would so love to acknowledge you as a sponsor at the June 5th celebration of Hometown Heroes and get you a lot of press and publicity. You also are going to need time to train if you're running. And it would just be great to hit our 500 runner goal well in advance of September 14th and even exceed that.
Right. You know, we want the community to step out in favor of this and support of it. And for us, it's a matter of momentum. If we're seeing some good numbers early, it's going to encourage us, the volunteers who are behind this, to go out and get more. And that we really are looking for your support. And so by doing it far in advance, it really makes a big difference to sign up early.
So runtheday.com is for the runners and walkers.
Yes.
What about if someone watching has a small business or they just want to sign up as a sponsor? Maybe they even want to sponsor an actual scholarship. How would they do that?
Sure. If you just call the Mainline Chamber of Commerce offices, and you can ask for me, Bernie, I'll put you in touch with somebody. Certainly we can explain to you, we can send you a list of the sponsorship opportunities. They start as low as $500. I believe we even have a $250 sponsorship that's available. You can get your name on the shirt. And it's just a great way to help support people in the community to be part of this cause. We would appreciate anyone stepping up who would like to do that.
And it's easy to visit also the Mainline Chamber website, www.mlcc.org, which has all the information that you might need. You know, when we talk about people sponsoring actual scholarships, there's a very special family that does that, isn't there?
There is. There's the Thomas J. Hayes Scholarship that has been occurring now. Tom Hayes was a firefighter in Lower Marion, Marion Fire Company, who was very enthusiastic about his work. He was involved with technology. He was the treasurer. They rank how many people go out on calls, and he was always very high on the list. He was always ready to go, always ready to help. And one evening he went and participated in putting out a fire and went home that evening and had a seizure in his sleep. And so we remember Tom every year with the scholarship. The two largest scholarships that we give out every year are done in his name. And he's just an example of the people who sacrifice, the people who are injured, the people who give up of their time. They could be doing other things, and it can be dangerous. And I don't think that can be underestimated. We need to say thank you to these folks in every way we can, and it's an honor to honor Tom Hayes every year.
And it's wonderful to shake his mom and his dad's hand and to say thank you to them for raising such a fine young man who gave himself to such service in the community and such excellence. And that's another point too. When you go to the celebration of Hometown Heroes on June 5th, the room is filled with moms and dads and proud aunts and uncles and fire chiefs and presidents. And, you know, these young men and women become volunteers and learn to give back because they were taught that. They were given a great example. So we also take the time to say thank you to their parents as well. And it's really maybe usually no more than 45 minutes, the entire ceremony. You're not investing a lot of time, but I promise you will leave inspired for the cause of our volunteer firefighters. And we hear great stories too about the firefighters themselves. Does one spring to mind?
Sure. Well, typically what's common is that these are families that are often doing this. So it might be an uncle, it might be your parents who've done it before you. So very much part of the culture of a family to do this. We hear about people who are working a few jobs and trying to go to school. So they're volunteers. They're putting a big chunk of their lives into volunteering as emergency responders. And they also need to study. And oh, by the way, they need to pay for school. And they need a good day job. So we want them to go to school. And the whole purpose of the foundation was the scholarships to support education. So a lot of times they end up in local mainline schools, but not just. It could be community colleges in the area. It could be out of state. But we want to be there for them just like they're there for us.
That's so well put. That's exactly it. This whole foundation is wrapped around being there for them because they're there for us. I also want to briefly mention too another important benefactor of the foundation's fundraising initiatives, and that's Pennsylvania Free Enterprise Week.
Right.
For the uninitiated, what's that?
Pennsylvania Free Enterprise Week has been around for quite a few years now. It actually is a national model where high school students, they're rising juniors and seniors in their summer year, go and they spend a week together. They put together a company, they learn to run a company, but they have a real life experience on a college campus. And I was privileged last year to go and check out one of these weeks and spend some time there. And it's very inspiring. They're learning about life. They're learning about how to look somebody in the eye and shake their hand, how to be a good person in a job interview, how to do a better job with that. And they also learn about leadership. Somebody's picked as the CEO and the CFO, and teamwork, and there's a marketing department. And so they get exposed to the world of business and free enterprise. And it's important, whatever you do in your life, it's really nice to have that grounding, that information. We think it's a very valuable program, and we're huge supporters of it.
And I'm so glad that we are too, because these young people, investing in these young people is going to invest in the future of our communities, really. And what a great and worthwhile cause. And we hope that we've raised your awareness about a very worthwhile cause, the Mainline Chamber Foundation. Any closing comments before we run out of time, Bernie?
I want people to know how they can help. That's the most important thing. I'd like to leave them with the thought. And I would say it's really around the run. You could be a volunteer. You could run in the run. You could be a part of the walk. It's on the morning of September 14th. We want you to be with us that day in any way that you can. You'll find information at mainlinerun.org. That's one site you can look at. And as you say, runtheday.com, you can sign up for the race there. But everything you need is at mainlinerun.org. You can get the link to that website and do that there. So we hope everyone will come out and join us.
I'm excited. We traditionally have nice weather, and I'm planning on it this year.
Very
if I
good.
have any influence at all, I really am so grateful that you were here today. And thank you for all that you do for the Chamber and for the Foundation, Bernie. Your leadership has been amazing. So really grateful for that. And it's been a pleasure to speak today on behalf of the Mainline Chamber Foundation and its mission to raise funds that primarily benefit our firefighters and EMTs. You can tell this is a cause that is near and dear to my heart. Your volunteer firefighters and EMTs, our first responders, never fail to answer the call in time of need. And I hope the information we shared today will cause you to respond. You are cordially invited to the celebration of Hometown Heroes right here at the Lower Merion Township Administration Building. It's going to be held on June 5th at 6:30 p.m. You can see for yourself where the funds go. And if you can run or walk or volunteer on September 14th, please do so. visit runtheday.com. And you can always write a check to the Mainline Chamber Foundation, 175 Stratford Avenue, Suite 130, Wayne, PA, 19087, or you can call 610-687-6232 for more information. Thank you again, Bernie, for your leadership and your role in helping the foundation make a positive difference in our community. And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching today. I hope to see you at the celebration or at the run. Have a great day.